with your school and your favorite technology integration tool. Let's do that. Let's type our school in the chat with our favorite technology tool. So let's come over to the chat and jump in with your favorite technology tool and your school. Tool and school, that rhymes.
We've got some elementary people in here, Stonewall and Coventry Oak represented.
Yay!
Way to represent middle school.
There's that Jesse Clark. It's right down the street from me. Yay, there's a Pear Deck. Oh, love me some Pear Deck. So if you're just coming in right now, welcome. If you would get into the chat, we're going to get you going with typing in your school and your favorite technology tool. Miss Jessica, that definitely counts. Edpuzzle. Do you have, Jessica, do you guys have the pro version? Has your school purchased that? I couldn't hear you if you turned your mic on. Something is going on with the mic. Oh, Ann Jarvis, Nearpod. Did you come to my Nearpod training, Miss Ann? That's exciting. We did one for the math teachers the other day.
Actually, I didn't, but I did go to the Pear Deck. I did go to one of those.
Good.
But I like Nearpod better.
Yeah, I just saw something on Twitter the other day that was showing the basically a comparison. I'll have to find that for you. It was like Pear Deck and Nearpod side by side. So it was.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'll find it for you before we leave today. Yeah. Oh, it's okay, Miss Jessica. I'm just excited that anything is working right now. Last night we were in a training and our presenters her whole computer just shut down. So we're ready for anything. You guys are amazing. So my name is Susan McGrath, and I am new to the district in terms of digital learning coach. I was a math teacher at Dunbar and Douglas, and then I worked as a digital learning coach at Carter G. Woodson and Douglas as well. And I'm really excited to talk to you about blended learning. We had a huge initiative at Carter G last semester with blending learning models. And now I've been blessed to work with Ms. Barkis. We just put together last week, or a couple weeks ago, I'm sorry, a Q&A, basically question and answer, like frequently asked questions choice board for the district. And so we're going to start with that today, that kind of answers questions, but we want to hear from you today while modeling some of the things. Miss Martha talks about talking points. Oh, I love talking points, Miss Martha. I think that's amazing communication tool, especially for our families that don't speak English as their first language. And we've got a few Flipgrid. I'm going to show you some Flipgrid today. And there's Miss Parsons. Yay. Hey, Sarah. She's got the smart board and she's floating around to all the schools. So we're going to actually hit some things that you didn't mention in here. So I'm kind of excited about it. And the first thing is the Wakelet. So Ms. Rachel is going to put that link, if you're just joining us, in the chat for the Wakelet. And I am a huge fan of Wakelet. You might have heard of Padlets before. It's similar to that. It has kind of a feel of kind of a Twitter-ish feel to it, but it also is a great space to just post things. So I'm going to share my screen. By the way, I love hats. So this is my chicken with the head cut off hat, which I'm sure is how all of you are feeling right now, where we're getting, especially those wonderful elementary teachers that we've got on today. You're doing amazing work. And I think that this is an amazing time in education because we are starting to get into a place where we have never been before, where this past year we've been all virtual and now we're coming back into the schools. It's this mesh and blend of amazing opportunities that we have meshed in with the amazing chaos that it brings. And so hopefully you'll walk away today with some ideas, maybe some concrete things that you want to implement. But also we want to hear from you because I know you all are doing amazing things as well. So today, apparently my word is amazing. That is the word for today. So I'm going to resume my share here on the screen. This is one of my favorite whiteboard apps right now is Classroom Screen. And this is one of my favorite, this is my favorite jam right now, which is the Chill Hop Essentials. So this QR code will take you to the Wakelet as well on your phone or if you had a camera device, but also has the same link that Miss Rachel is putting in the chat. So that will take you here. And so I want to model for you one of the most wonderful, I think, especially for littles, but you guys are already the experts, is kind of a playlist model. And so that's what we have here today. And so you have editing rights to this. You also can like things. There's a tool to like or clap or wonder about it. And Wakelet has that. You can change those settings as well. But so what we're going to talk about today is really just have you practice with some different technology tools, but also just talk about together how things are going, what you've noticed, what you wonder about in terms of blended learning, kind of why you're here today. And then we'll get into some shares. So if you haven't already, you can actually go to the edit function here and click on edit, which I'm going to show you right now. And then I'm going to give you a few minutes to do it. And then once you've hit edit, you can actually come down here and you can add things to the Wakelet. So what I want you to practice, and we'll see if it works, is I want you to practice with the Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is actually embedded in a Wakelet as their video engine. And all you have to do it is you have to click the green plus sign right under what I notice. And that gives you the opportunity to do a couple different things. You can add text, images, PDFs, but you also have the waffle. So if you've ever heard of the Google waffle, we have the waffle over here. And if you click the waffle, you should see a video opportunity. You can also add in a YouTube video, anything from your Google or OneDrive, and tweets as well. So we're going to click on the video, and then what you should see if it works, which not all the time they work, something that'll have you continue with Google. And this is just with your school single sign-on. And then you'll be able to actually, see, not working for me right now. And it might be because I tried to use the single sign-on. You might be able to do it without logging in. But it should bring up a camera option, and then you can actually record a video. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at that and look at the what I wonder about. So that's a Jamboard for you to do as well. So I'm going to put a timer up and give you about 6 minutes or so to try to do the video if it's working for you at on your device. And then also check out the what I wonder. So the two first parts of our Wakelet playlist today. So if you'll look at that, and again, I'm going to give you about 5 or 6 minutes to do that, and then we'll come back together and take a look. All right, I'm going to give you a few more minutes and then we're going to take a look at what you notice and what you wonder. Ms. Parsons, on the Wakelet, there is a word that says Jamboard. And if you click on that, it has the link that'll take you right to the Jamboard. So you should see it in like a green color in that what I wonder section. And I'll demonstrate that for you right now if you want to come back to the Zoom screen. What kind of device are you on, Ms. Parsons?
I'm on my own personal Chromebook.
Okay. It may have popped up like in a different window, and you might hover down to see if it might have opened it in a tab that's kind of hidden.
No.
But I'll copy the link for you and put it in the chat as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is, it just has like a plus and then the arrows,
Yeah.
like an accent. Yes.
Oh, Miss Barkish just put it right in for you. So if you go to the chat there, she's got it in there.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to use that link. Okay, so we've got some wonderful wonder statements that are on our Jamboard. I'm going to look into that Wakelet and Flipgrid. We practiced it today and it was working, Miss Rachel and I, but I'll get in there and troubleshoot on that Flipgrid for you to see if that, because I really like that video function. So we've got, if you're on the Jamboard right now, we've got second grade teacher, that's the virtual teacher at Stonewall. and asking how the virtual students fit into the in-person training, in-person learning, or do we fit in? That's a great statement. Also, how to get the virtual students to come to their afternoon classes. And that, I think, has been a stumbling block for everyone, is how to get those virtual students to be engaged and still participating in classes. Building community with those virtual and in-person students, and then juggling virtual and in-person for 9 schools. So if you already know the answer to any of these, I think it's a lot of work is the answer. We have to do a lot of planning ahead of time to make sure that we've got our virtual and our in-person students on the same page and ready to go. So some of these are actually answered on our Q&A document. So I'm going to go back to I want to make sure I didn't miss any. Okay. Anyway, this is a Jamboard. Let me just mention this real quick. Jamboard is actually part of the Google Waffle, and it's like a whiteboard that you can interactively share with students. So this can be a great way to build community with your students that are in person and in the classroom or virtual and in person at the same time. You can stick the link in your Google Classroom. If this is a time where you're doing a connect and check with your virtual students through a Zoom feature or not, it doesn't have to be that you have them in Zoom, but that they know a time when they're going to get on with you and work through a playlist together, a station rotation together, or a flipped learning model. And this is how you could connect them. They can get on. You can actually see them up at the top when they are logged in with their Google on their Chromebook. And then they have lots of options. They don't have a choice to change the background, which is new to Jamboard, but they can add sticky notes, they can draw, they can add images, and they can also just add a text box. So they don't need a sticky note to actually add in a text box. And then you would change the rights to this to share for Fayette County Public Schools. I actually have anyone, just in case someone is on a personal device that's not logged in. But it is a great platform then that you change the rights to edit so that they can get on, and then you share away. And they're improving upon this every time I turn around so that it's more student and teacher friendly, but you can add slides to it. Someone put, it's great for math, conversations with math, which I agree, as a former math teacher, it's wonderful for them. They can add images, they can take pictures of their work and post the work onto the whiteboard. And you can already have it set up like I did with a background or with words. Just remember, we don't have to make things crazy pretty either. I know a lot of us, myself, I want everything to look perfect and I want to have the perfect picture, but we aren't having a lot of time for that right now based on just what the amount of work we have to do. And it shouldn't be double work. And that's kind of what we want to lead you towards, is that it's work you can do, a different work, but work that you can do so that you have the cohesiveness between your virtual and in-person students. So let's go back to the Wakelet, or you can watch in the Zoom window. But a Wakelet is another platform that you can have community between your virtual and in-person students, and pairing them up so that they're working together. And that might provide, get those afternoon students into a social studies or math class where they're going to have responsibilities in a Google slide deck or in a Wakelet to find resources or to participate with other students, even though it might not be in a Zoom call or where they see each other, but that they can collaborate online. I gave you collaboration rights, so you can do one of two things in a Wakelet. If you're in the Zoom window right now, I'm going to click up at the top and make sure that I click the done. So I gave you collaboration rights so that you could try to add to this with your video, but you have editing rights. You might not want to give editing rights to your students if you're using this for like a playlist. They might go in and delete some of the things. So you can actually, if you're looking in the Zoom window right now, if you hit the laying down snowman, I'm calling my napping snowman, melted snowman is probably better. You've got analytics, you've got visibility changes, but then next to that, you'll see the share button, which is the big arrow. And this is where I can actually just share the Wakelet so they can view it. And it can go directly into your Google Classroom. So it has that feature. If you teach with VLA or you're using Canvas, you could just copy this link or embed it into that LMS. So pretty neat. You can also share it out with a QR code if you wanted to share it with your parents so they could look on it on a device like a phone or if you had a Facebook page or so forth. So different ways that you can share it out there. So that is how I suggest if you didn't want them to collaborate. And then if you did want them to collaborate, you would invite them as collaborators like I did for you today. And I would copy the link and it also gives you a QR code there. So if you're in the Wakelet right now, if you want to go back to the Wakelet and hit done, that will make it look like it would look if you were just sharing it with your students as a playlist. And then you have the features of clicking on the links. You're not editing it anymore. You can like things and so forth. So now these green links should work for you to click on. And if you scroll down past whole group discussion, you'll see the document that is our in-person and remote instructional technology FAQ. So if you'll click on that right now. So in like a station rotation model, you would have times, like set times, where you would check in with your in-person students and then check in with your virtual students, maybe on a Google Meet or a Zoom. But definitely we want that connection with them. If you can't check in with them every day, maybe every other day, or you have a set time where you catch up with them. Playlists are great. With that, you can even, we're going to look at later some playlists that have places for you to actually write down how the students are doing and give great feedback. So this hopefully can be something that is helpful for you. How do you develop assignments, tools, and some of which you guys are already using, which is terrific, the Pear Deck, Nearpod, and so forth. But some of these questions, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but what I want to do is model this for you. This is a Google slide deck, actually, where it has the feeling of a choice board, which can be something that's wonderful. If you're teaching elementary, having all these choices may not be an option for you, but it may be better to limit the choices, but you could make a little Foursquare and have some choices for them to participate in such like a station rotation model or a playlist model. So what this one does is you just click, I'm gonna go to the tools, and it brings up another slide. So this is actually a different slide that you're seeing right now, where it has an overlaying answer box. So those of you that are looking at Pear Deck, Google Classroom or Canvas, Flipgrid, how to add alternative hosts on a Zoom, those are some great co-teacher features. Developing, I'm going to click the home button again, and it's going to take me back to slide 1. And then how can I develop assignments? So again, Pear Deck is one of the things we recommend with our Pro feature. And we've already had some great Pear Deck trainings, but we have one coming up next week that's a Pear Deck workshop. And the wonderful Jerry Broyles will be just having like a support session. So you can come in and ask questions and develop your Pear Deck for any slides that you have, and just walk out with some great products that you can use in your classroom. So our philosophy is we don't want you to do twice the work. We want a transformation of the work that you've been doing this whole past year, but now you have it where you have students in the classroom. And those of you that are elementary, what you've noticed is that you probably have that same feel. In fact, let's pop that out. Yeah, we can actually, Ms. Ford, we'll make some for you. We actually have, I think, some videos, but I'll make that for you and send that out for you about how to create a choice board like this. We actually got this template. Ms. Barkis, where did we get this template from?
It was a blog from a from something.
Shannon. It was from
I'll find
someone
it.
else. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Ms. Barkis found this, and it's a great, they actually have the template so you can just edit it. So you don't have to create it from scratch, but we'll get all that for you, Ms. Ford, if you're interested. Love that you're interested. So, so what you've probably noticed is that when you're coming into your classrooms, you're not doing that same thing. There's a lot of restrictions still about what can happen in our classroom and what our littles can do, and our middle school students coming up and our high school students that are going to be back in the classrooms in the next couple of weeks. It's still going to have that feel where we're doing that same work, but we have to make sure that we are keeping in contact with our virtual students. So some kind of check-in. And so I'm going to click on the instructional models here down at the bottom. These are 3 of the most popular models, and specifically the playlist and station rotation for our littles and our middle school students. There's some great templates in here for that, more info for the flipped learning. But what this comes from is Dr. Catlin Tucker. And so I'm going to go back to the Wakelet now. And if you want to go peruse this a little later. But in our whole group discussion here, and Ms. Barkis is putting that choice board in the chat for you. But all of the wonderful things about those 3 models, and this is, I think, a great explanation. And she talks like a teacher, which is wonderful. That I think she really relates to what we're doing as teachers right now. But she's got benefits, tips, and then some great templates and videos in there that you can go out to. And so I encourage you, especially what I love about this is every single one of them includes a check-in time with teachers. The station rotation model does, the flip learning model does. There's a pre and post activity where the teacher checks in, but there's always communication with the teacher. So I'm curious, will you guys go to the chat right now and let me know if you are doing a Zoom or a Google Meet during your classes? You can just put yes or no in the chat if you are using Zoom or Google Meet during your classes. So we got some yes, Zoom with the Google Classroom. Okay, so most of us are having some time with the virtual students. So that's great. And if you're not, I'm sure that you're doing something else where you're tying in your virtual students. But that check-in is really great to have at least once a week. Sort of what we're doing with VLA, where we don't check in every day, but there is some sort of check-in. And I think the best thing to do with that is definitely communicating as much as you can with your families. Obviously, you're doing that already, and Talking Points is a great app to do that. But in the Google Classroom or through Canvas, if you're using Canvas, that you actually are communicating when you're checking in, what the assignments are, and so forth. So I think that, and I'm sure your admin is doing that as well. So, but I think these are some, what I like about these models and having a model to fall back on is it's going to give you more time during that class time to engage with the students, to meet virtually. It's a lot of planning on the front end, but when you have the information out there, then you have that time where you can sit back during the class and support. So if they're watching a video for like middle school, especially, I think in high school, the flipped learning model is a great model where you start with a hook, you get them involved, you can do a notice and wonder like we started with today, and then you have a video that you've created or that you found, or an ed puzzle, which is mentioned here. We got our ed puzzle fans out there. And then they come back after the post video activity. So definitely using, having that pre-recorded, pre-done, and then you can really support during that time. And you don't have to stick with the same model, like what Ms. Barkus just put in there, thinking outside the box in the chat, but trying a different model. Maybe you do flip learning one week and try another model, the station rotation the next, and find what fits for your students. Also gives great differentiation and starts low floor, high ceiling, where the students come in and you can have enrichment, enhancement parts of those lessons for students that might get through ahead of time. And this is the playlist model that I wanted to show you here real quick. It's actually, this isn't the pretty playlist. If you check out her blog, which is under the playlist model in the Caitlin Tucker, and I'm going to copy that and put it in here if you haven't gotten to that. Oops, put it in the chat, paste that in there. But she has some great links, but if you go down to the playlist model and look at the check out this blog, she actually has a crazy playlist template on here, which you wouldn't want to have all the things, but if you wanted to, you know, give your students or scholars some a list for a unit or a topic or a chapter or a week or two, you could have this playlist. What I like about this is it has notes and date completed, and it also has Tucker time, which would be teacher time. And so this would be a time where they would stop, meet with you and conference at a certain point, and you can take notes with them. You can give feedback. And then you can put a completion date, or they can when they're done, and they would share this with you in the Google Classroom, so you could check on it during during class time, during your planning time, on the weekends. You could check in and see how they're doing. But she's got everything you could possibly have in a playlist. And if you want to kind of have a place to start, she does have, you can click here and make a copy of that playlist. And I modeled this for some of my teachers last week, not with all that stuff, but she used this for a literary argument writing unit. And so it has a lot of stuff in it. So that is the playlist model. So back in the Wakelet, I also put one of her virtual station rotation templates. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on this. If I'm going to click on it here, and then I'll put it right in the chat. So if you're kind of got a ton of tabs open, but I gave you editing rights. So this is a Google slide deck, and I love me some interactive Google slides. So this is another way that you can have your students collaborate. So now, again, two different types of sharing on here. I am giving you sharing rights to edit on here. If I want you to make a copy, I could, again, change the sharing rights, restrict them to Fayette County Public School, but then I can I can then share that with you and give you viewer rights so you can make a copy. But in the Google Classroom, you can also force a copy. So you can force a copy by going up to the URL, which is your browser, little browser item up at the top. And if you just take away everything past the edit here, including the word edit, and replace it with the word copy, that's a shortcut to force a copy. So then your students have their own copy, and then they could share with a partner or in a group, and then they have a collaborative Google slide deck that you can put as an assignment in your Google Classroom. And again, that shortcut is just to take whatever slide deck you create, take off the end of it, the word edit, and just replace it with the word copy, okay? I'm giving you edit rights to this one. So if I wanted to have a whole class interactive slide deck, I could just share and give editing rights. So I can click share, and then in the drop down, I can choose editing rights, give you editor rights there. And you can see it's right there. I can also change this and give you editing rights, which I did right then, so that every student is on the slide deck. And this is her virtual station rotation. She has wonderful teacher notes that you can delete. You can make another copy of this and use it as a template. Is anybody using Google Slides? Let's go to the chat right now. Is anybody using Google Slides for a calendar or interactive Google Slides for assignments or drawing pictures? Oh yeah, Miss Parsons, good job. Cool. Yes, Miss Cantrell, good job. Perfect. So you guys are nothing new to the Google Slides. Yeah. Perfect for anchor charts. Yes, Miss Daniels. Awesome. So yeah, so this might be something that you could set up, maybe a template you could set up for your virtual students. You might have one separate for when you're going to meet them. You know, you could have breakout rooms, or you could have those times where you want them to meet you one-on-one, which that's awesome. The kindergartners are going to know more than we do. I love it. So, so does anybody have anything they want to share in terms of, Ms. Daniel says she's using it for teaching materials or anchor charts. Is there anybody else that would want to share out what has been working for you with the Google Slides in terms of your virtual students? You can just turn your mics on if you want and just share out.
One thing that I do is I go to the master slide and put in a PDF so they can't move it around, and then go back to the regular and just put little boxes for them to fill out the blanks.
Nice. Very good. Love it.
Way
That
to
is-
hack Google Slides.
Yes. Yep. So you can go to slide and edit master, and those are things that they can't change. Very good. Thanks for sharing. Yep.
I'm going to speak for Miss Cantrell for a second since she's being quiet and on mute, but the kindergarten team at Coventry has been awesome. They actually did a little training for the OIT with the things that they're doing, and they are working together so that each teacher contributes a piece to the slide deck that is the lessons for the day. So no one is duplicating anyone else's work, and it really streamlines it. And then they're adding a lot of audio clip directions for those kindergartners who can get a little bit lost in the what do I do on this slide. So they're doing some really awesome things to support that virtual learning for the littles.
Perfect. Love it. Yeah. And I think that sharing out the work is a great thing to be connecting with teachers so that you're not doing too much work, and you have that cohesiveness between your classes. That's great. Okay, well, one more thing I want to share with you guys today is Book Creator. And it is a tool that, again, anything that we can do that's collaborative in this blended learning environment is could and should engage those students that are virtual with your students that are in person. And so Book Creator is an amazing tool that they actually just added a lot of templates to, and it gives that creativity, collaboration, those 4 C's, where you can see student work. It's that visualization of what they're thinking. And so this is our Book Creator. It will give students a code instead of a link. If you want to follow along, I'll just show you the steps in the Zoom, or if you want to go back to the Wakelet under that kind of work alone time, we'll go through this really quickly together, and we can look at a book. Actually, you can see how the collaborative features work. I'll show you the book first, and then I'll show you how to get in here. So you can, again, publish a book in Book Creator, and you can actually have these printed too. I've seen schools where students have made a book, and we've actually gone to the Learning Center and printed out a copy of the book, and for them to visually see the book in their hands in the library is amazing. But this is what it looks when you just like have a published book, if you haven't seen Book Creator before. And I used a template here of a notebook. If you have middle school or high school students, this is a great opportunity to get them to take notes. There's a pen option, but there's also a typing option. And they can, again, work collaboratively on a book, or they could do their own book, but they can add text, pictures. There's a comic book templates. It's amazing. And Ms. Barkus shared out some resources from Coventry Oak, again, from a training that was there on independent work for littles. So there's 2 links here that you can look at that are some Google slide decks that you can make copies of and tweak to your liking. And there's also a video here of the training that they did. So you can take a look at that at your leisure. But to actually get to edit a book and collaborate on a book, you're going to want to add students to your library. So Ms. Barkus put the instructions in the chat. Thank you. And then I'll demo here in the window. Again, when I'm outside of that edit in the Wakelet, I can click on the Book Creator link. Go back here and copy my code, or you can go in the chat and copy the code as well. And then you're going to want to sign in to Book Creator. And you already can use your single sign-on, your Google single sign-on. Mine is going to jump me right into it because I'm already logged into Google, but it might ask you to log in. And then I already own this book, or have authored this book, excuse me. So what you would do is you would go over to the waffle. I'm always saying the waffle, the hamburger lines, which is in the top left-hand corner next to where it might see a library, or it might say a new book. And then you're going to want to join a library. So you have to scroll down a little bit to join a library. Again, the steps for that are to sign in with your Google single sign-on, because you already have a free Book Creator account. Then you're going to go up to the hamburger, the 3 horizontal lines. Get my snowmen mixed up with my waffles and my hamburgers. So I'm going to click on that. And then if you scroll down, you'll see join a library, and you might have that closer than mine. And then you paste in the code and you join the library. And so this is how you would get your students into your library. You can put the link to bookcreator.com in your Google Classroom, and then have the join code there for them to join. And then you could lead them through the steps. I also put a video of how to join as a student in the Wakelet. So if you want to share that with students, you can. So I'm already in this library, so I don't need to join. And so now I can see I have 5 authors, and then you can go and edit the book by clicking on the edit pencil there in the middle. And now you have rights to edit and collaborate with me. And when that pops up, you can go to the pages and add anything like I did. You can add in any kind of artifacts or products or links that you want to put in that you're using. I can see who's on it right now in the corner. I can click through. The way that you edit things is you use the big orange plus sign. And I like this platform because once you get in it, it's fairly simple to, because there's not too much going on. You can add an item. You can add a camera in, you can record yourself talking, which I love. There's a pen, like I mentioned, and text. They can add shapes like a bubble that you can type right on, or arrows or so forth. And then there's also, if you click on any part of that page, you can then hit the I for the inspector and you can edit as well. So this is how you could change fonts. Bold, go to the page, change the backgrounds. There's some really neat things there. And this, again, this is a template. They have templates that are totally set up when you start a book, if you want to create your own book, but lots of different things going on in there for students to kind of enjoy and show their creativity, kind of like you would in Adobe Spark or something like that. So then I can just click out of there, but you can click on to really edit. You have to click on that image. If I click out, then I can edit the page because I'm not linked to anything that I've already added. And then there's weekly planners. I kept that in there just so you could see that, but also so you could see the audio feature. Students can click on that and listen to your instructions as well as read them. And there's stickies like we saw on the Jamboard where they can just move stickies and type on them. But I do love this notebook feature because students can add images, get creative, and it's a book. Like, it's very exciting. They can have someone read the book. Actually, there is the accessibility feature that book creator will read the book to them. And then they can add pages as well. So it's a really neat, again, collaborative tool, but also a way you can communicate in there as well. So, yeah, this is a cool alternative to those laminated books. So you got an ebook that you can publish. You can publish them to your classroom. You can share them with parents. I think it's a wonderful feature where we're in that touchless environment right now. Okay.
I love that, Amy. She's going to be playing on all these new sites today. But what a great way. I believe it was you that said something about getting kids back onto the Zoom. Like, just all these tools, they're great to use and to think about how you're using them to improve your instruction, but also they're so engaging for kids just to be able to be creative and to have some agency in what they're learning and how they present their learning. And I think that those are great things to do to spice it up.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And I know there's a lot of tools out there. We don't want to overwhelm you with too many tools, but if you want to learn more about any of the tools, please contact us. Email me. We can meet on Zoom. We can come to your school, and we can sit down and create things for you. Like I've got some homework myself here to help you with some videos. And so any of this we can definitely help you with. We don't want to overwhelm you. And we want you to remember that this is a new time. This is I think, and COVID is awful, but this can be a time where we can really, I I lend it to being an artist, where we are creating and this ever-changing environment that we have right now, where it can be a beautiful thing, what's going on, and not to be overwhelmed, and to have much self-care as teachers, because you are the most essential right now. And the work that you're doing is amazing, hard work. So know that it's going to be chaos. Know that you trying new things is a great adventure for you, but also for your students. These decisions that you're making should be curriculum-oriented goals, where the tools come in so that you can have that cohesive, collaborative environment for your students. So, and that's what we're here to support you with. So I hope that this really helps. I know some of you are already doing these things, so hopefully maybe you walked away with a tool or two that you feel you could use. But if not, just know that you can do this work. We can do it together. Like Ms. Barkas mentioned, working as teams at your school and coming in, we can model things for you as well. So if you wouldn't mind, before you leave today, and we'll put this link in the chat so you don't have to go back to the Wakelet, but we have a form for you to fill out. And it's in my read view again. I'm going to copy and paste this for you. Yeah, Ms. Ford, I think they can. I think I've done that before, where they can access the phone or the book on their cell phone, and it allows for that. So I don't think that that's a problem with the phone. So we'll stay on here for a few minutes if you have any questions, or you want to talk through something for the next few minutes here. Please feel free to stay on with us, and you can turn your video and your mic on if you wish. And you guys have a great weekend. Get some rest. I know this was a busy week for our elementary schools, and let us know how we can support you. And if you'll just fill out that form, I'll send you a certificate, and you'll get one in Frontline as well. So have a great night.
Hello, Miss McGrath.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I am sorry for signing in late.
Oh, you're fine.
I couldn't find how to do it, even though it said go to the Zoom link. I sent it to myself, but I think I was supposed to highlight just that Zoom link, and it took me a while to figure out how to do that. Now I know this is my first time doing this type of training, so I apologize.
Great. Well, welcome.
But I was very intrigued with, are you saying that you can get on slides? Because I work with high school students. And
yes.
We're doing a career development. So I'm thinking about, is this a different website, or are we just talking about getting on Google Slides and taking
Google Slides? Yes, ma'am. Yep, Google Slides. Yeah, let me know what your